Hello everyone. So this is something new here on the channel. I don't typically cover Monster Hunter, but I've been a huge fan since World, and I'm thinking I might cover Monster Hunter Wilds this time around. But anyway, to the point of the video. So Capcom has recently revealed the system spec requirements for Monster Hunter Wilds, and I think they're a little concerning, to say the least. Also, let me get out of the way that I am not an expert when it comes to PC specs or anything, so if I make a mistake or I'm reading this wrong in some areas, that is why. But looking at the minimum specs here, they actually aren't terrible. We got a AMD Ryzen 5 3600 CPU, Radeon RX 5600 XT GPU, 16 gigabytes of RAM, so I guess pretty standard stuff, really not that bad at all. Although you do need an SSD, which isn't a big deal either. But yeah, this is fine for minimum specs in terms of meeting the requirements, but keep in mind that this is for upscaled 4K from 720 and 30 FPS on all lowest settings. And I don't think I need to explain to you why that's not the way to play a Monster Hunter game. But if you really want to play this game and just barely are meeting the hardware requirements, then yes, you can play it this way. Alright, so where things get a bit crazy in my opinion is the recommended specs. So here they are. Still not through the roof insane, but I'll get into what the problem is in a minute. But we have for GPU, Radeon RX 6700 XT, NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4060. That is a bit insane. AMD Ryzen 5 5500 is up there too, for sure. But my problem here, which I'm not the only one that caught this either, is that these are the recommended specs to get 60 FPS with frame generation and on medium settings. That's a little deceiving, because the problem with 60S specifically with frame generation is that you are not getting the benefits of 60 FPS when you're getting, say, 30 with frame generation. Sorry to explain this to those that already know, but if you're not exactly sure what that means, frame generation, hence its name, gives you fake frames, essentially. It will look like 60 FPS, but you will be getting the response time of about 30. And they're saying, yeah, you can have these specs on medium settings and get 60 FPS, when that isn't the case. That's not true, technically. The best part about 60 FPS isn't how it looks, although it does look nice, of course, I'm not downplaying that, but it's the response time, especially in Monster Hunter, where you really do need the extra response time. You should not label this as recommended specs when it's not actually 60 FPS, because PC players do not want something to look like 60 FPS, they want 60 FPS, period. So these specs are pretty beefy to begin with for the PC, so I'm worried about the console port, because this could be a Dragon's Dogma 2 situation, another Capcom game, the last Capcom game that came out, where the console port can barely hit 60 FPS at all. I don't think it'll be quite as bad as Dragon's Dogma 2, just because I think there's more NPCs and it's completely open world, but who knows, it could be just as taxing, if not more, considering all the herds and little details and wildlife and weather effects all happening simultaneously on the same map in Wilds. So I fear for those consoles, but I also fear for PC for another reason that'll make a lot of PC users very sad, which is that Monster Hunter Wilds will have de novo DRM integrated into the game, which will likely make the performance even worse. This is not speculation. It's almost universally known that de novo makes games run worse, and it's also known that it doesn't stop piracy either. So it's pretty much just a straight up negative thing for the game. So quick edit here. Apparently Capcom usually launches the game with de novo and then switches to a less performance taxing DRM after they've sold a certain amount of copies. I can't confirm this with 100% certainty, but if you look at Rise and World on Steam, their DRM is different, so it's not de novo. So yeah, but yeah, launch at least will have to deal with de novo, which makes the game run shittier, and also, according to just about everyone, doesn't stop piracy either. So what's the point of it? I couldn't tell you. I've also heard from some other creators that have gotten hands-on with the game at Gamescom say that the PS5 ports of the game were tanking and struggling trying to run this game. So things are just simply are not looking too well in that regard for the game. Hopefully they can iron this out before February. I'll be playing on the PS5 Pro, so hopefully it's not too bad on there with the extra power, because I just prefer console for most games, but that remains to be seen. But yeah, that's about it. Oh, and also, not a huge problem, but the game is apparently 140 gigabytes. So yeah, make sure you have the space for this shit, because that is pretty goddamn big. I'm thinking about covering Monster Hunter Wilds when it comes out. Like I said earlier, I am a massive fan, but I never really thought to do content for it. But this time around, I think I just might. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.